There we go, fish number 2. Another nice mirror, about £4. And there we go, straight away again. Another fish. All I've done is just backed away. Here it comes. Oh, a lovely mirror. Good £7 mirror carp, that. Beautiful fish. Hello and welcome to another episode of Cooper's Commercial Match Angling. You might think I'm whispering, but basically today we've come down to Halcyon Peg 1 and we're going to be doing some bread dobbing on the pole, pushing our rig into little nooks and crannies. It's 2 degrees this morning, we've had some hard frosts. It's a perfect time for this deadly method to work in the winter. Basically we're looking for hold-ups where fish are sitting in the reeds, little nooks and crannies. We're going to be using small punches of bread, 6 and 8mm punches of bread, pushing them into these little nooks and crannies a foot off the deck, trying to find the layers that the fish are sat in. The fish tend to ball up and keep warm together and hide under these features because the lakes are gin clear. So I'm going to show you my rig now, and then we're going to get down to some fishing. I'll show you what bait I use, because I also use something alongside the bread just for when I'm fishing 16 metres. Right guys, I'm just going to show you my rig. We've set up one dobbing rig. We'll start at the top. We've got a grey hydro, well used hydro, so it's nice and soft, but it's got that backbone because if one of these big fish dives into the reeds, we can pull it out. We've got a robust rig, 017 mainline to a 013 hook length to a 16 SLWG hook. The reason I'm using the SLWG is we could hook some 8 to 10 pound carp on here, so I don't want to be using these F1 pellets. If I was fishing for say F1s, I'd be fishing with a F1 pellet and probably a 010 012 hook length. We've got a light carbon stem float. It's a Malman Rube 4x12's carbon. Basically we've got all the weight under the float, and I use cubes when I'm fishing a dobbing rig so that I can basically slide the cubes easily, changing depths to try and find these fish in different layers. We've got our usual backshot, 2 number 8s, and then down the line we've got 2 tiny number 12 cubes again, so we can adjust and move them cubes around so we can adjust the fall of the bread. This is all about putting the bread in front of the carp's nose, but also making it flutter so it looks attractive. These fish are feeding on sight, and they're not feeding because they're hungry. You're just enticing them to snap at a bait. Again, the bites on dobbing are also straight unders, but if you're getting little indications, it normally means that the fish are sat higher in the layers than you're fishing, so you just shallow up until them liners turn into bites. Again, if you're getting no bites, just slide your float up so you go deeper in the water to try and find if the fish are sat a little bit deeper until you start to find these indications. Normally, it's pretty instant when you find fish on this method. You normally get a bite straight away within 30 seconds, a minute. So we're just going to do some fishing now, so join me for the first drop in. I'm going to start down the right hand side. As you can hear, I'm whispering, it's all about stealth, this method. Join us in a minute when we drop in. So just before we start, I'm just going to show you my side tray. As always, I keep my side tray really simple. So we've got our famous orange Warburton's toasty loaf, the best bread for dobbing by far. Nice and thick, nice and stodgy, fluffs up lovely, but also stays on the hook really well. Just as a different hook bait change, what I tend to do is when I'm fishing 16 metres, your bread and you're striking at bite, or your bread can come off after you've had a couple of drops in, I sometimes try these Dynamite Baits white soft hookers. I carry them in a 6 and a 4mm, and I also have started to bring some Fjuka baits white. They're just another alternative for when you're fishing them long lengths, in case your bread's coming off. Saves you shipping backwards and forwards all the time. What you'll also notice there as well, I've got 2 different punch sizes. So I've got a 6mm and an 8mm. Right guys, we're just going to go in for our first drop. So I'm going to start on a 6mm punch. So just squeeze the bread down, push the punch through, and then flatten it on our legs. I'll show you a close-up of this. Give the bread a little squeeze, and then basically what I do is I'll hook right down the centre of the piece of punch, pull the hook all the way through, and then turn it round the bend so that it's basically sat and it swells up the shank of the hook. That's our first drop in. Always check that the bread's sinking with the weight of the hook. And backshot, just allow you to drag that rig right into the reeds. Let that bread flutter down. We started at, like I say, just over 2 foot deep. It's about 3.5 foot down there, so we're a good foot off the bottom. Just see what happens. I forgot to mention, but we're using a 2mm bristle on this float to support the weight of the bread. And what we do is basically we just shot so we can see the full bristle, so we can actually read the bread on the bristle of the float. So we don't dot it down when we're dobbing, because the bites are proper unders. When that weight of the bread swells up, normally takes the bristle to about halfway, so you've got about 10mm stuck out. As I say, normally the indications come pretty quick. If there's fish there and we're at the right depth, we normally get a bite instantly. If not, we'll try going deeper. If we're getting liners, we'll come shallower. There's a tiny little indication there. So again, we don't sit for a long period, so we'll probably leave this a couple of minutes and then we'll just lift our rig up and lay it back in again, just so we can get that bread to flutter down, try and attract a carp to suck it in. As I say, it's been really cold. We've had some hard frosts, so these fish are going to be really inactive, just huddled up in these little holes. Just lift that rig out again and lay it back in. Hang on to that back shot so we can keep our float right in that reed where we want it. Just let the rig flutter down. Like you can see, the pole is way above the float, so we're not spooking them fish. The shadow on the water, that's where that long lash comes in. What we've done as well is we've started short of the pallet and the next feature, because this dobbing, you don't want to start where you think the fish probably are. You want to fish just short of them and work your way to them, so we don't again push them out of our peg, similar to the dobbing waggler. We're trying to creep up on them fish, pinch one off the edge of them and try not to spook them, so we push them straight out of our peg. Also sometimes pays as well is to take 1 or 2 fish and then come off them and let them settle again. So we'll probably dob down this right hand side for half an hour, see if we can catch a fish, and then if we nick a fish, or if we're getting loads of indications, we might have another go. If not, we'll go up to our left hand side, 16 metres up to along the reeds, see if there's any fish along there, so we let these settle again and then come back and hopefully nick another 1 or 2. It's all about managing your peg, this dobbing. You don't basically want to clatter them out of one hole. Another good tip as well is look for reeds knocking. Sometimes fish give themselves away because they knock the reeds, so you know there's fish there. Or little bubbles, little pimps as well. So no signs as yet, so I'm just going to move a little bit further, another foot further down. Lay that rig in. Hold that back shot again, keep the pole off the water, but hold that back shot, which are about 6 inches above the float. Just keeps the float still and then lets the bread flutter down into the little hole in the reeds. So nothing there. Just go that little bit further at the end of that section. Still about a metre off the pallet. There we go, first bite, fish on. So you can see how long that's took. Just from that movement, we just moved it another metre down the bank, we've hooked a fish. Just gently tease it out of the reeds. You can just see about fish location, we've only moved that rig for about 2 minutes. I think it's a nice carp. Doesn't feel massive, but feels like a nice fish to start on. Keep that pole nice and low again, not pulling its head off, just creeping it in till you see the end of the elastic. Nice little stocky, couple of pound. Maybe a little bit bigger. Nice 3 or 4 pound mirror. There we go. First fish in the bag. Nice mirror carp. Ooh, it's actually a bit bigger than I thought. It's probably about 5 pound. So there you go, our first fish, dobbing bread. Deadly method in the winter on the pole. Absolutely fantastic. Nice 5 pound mirror. Right, so we've had one fish down to our right, and then I've gone back in and I've foul hooked one, and I've had another indication since. This is the thing with dobbing. As soon as you foul hook something or lose one, just scatter. So instead of going back in, I'm going to come off that line. Hopefully them fish will come back to where I've just caught them. And I'm going to go up now to my right hand side at 16 metres, see if I can get one down that side. So first drop in, just drag that float into them reeds. We're hampered by a tree here really a little bit. Hold on to that back shot, there's a little sign straight away, and there we go, we're in. First drop in again on our right hand side and we've got a fish. So just ease it out of the reeds, nice and gentle. The more you pull, the more they pull. See, on our rollers. There we go. Fish number 2. Must have been in there like about 30 seconds. We're in again. This shows you how deadly this method is and how instant it is. Keep that pole nice and low. Don't pull the fish's head off. Just gently ease them in. There we go, fish number 2. Another nice mirror, about 4 pound. Hooked perfectly in the top lip so we know we're the correct depth. Another lovely mirror, about 4 pound. Right, so you can see basically how easy it is. If you find them fish, that bite was in literally 30 seconds. So load the rig in, little indication and then the float buried. We've had another mirror there, about 4 pound. Absolutely deadly this dobbing we're bred in the winter. Just all about fish location and again finding the depth of the satin. So we're going to have another look up this right hand side, see if we can get another one. We're going to swing that rig past as far as we can up that right hand side. and then we're just going to drag it right in using that back shot. Drag it right into that right. And there we go, straight away again, another fish. All I've done, I've just backed away a foot past where we caught that last one. We've hooked another one. Just don't pull, just let the fish ease it out so we don't spook the shoal. It's a nice fish, this. So second drop in, down this right hand side, straight down. We've hooked another one. To ease it back nice and steady, no need to pull the heads off. Keep that pole nice and low. There's a nice fish. Just don't want it to go into these reeds. Just ease it out. Nice and steady. Keep that pole low at all times, don't pull its head off. Nice fish, this. Here it comes. Oh, a lovely mirror. Good 7 pound mirror carp, that. Beautiful fish. Hooked perfectly in the top lip again. Just put that rig down. I'll pick this up for the cameras. So there you can see a lovely, beautiful mirror carp, good 7 pound. See how deadly that bread is dobbing in the winter? Brilliant. Enjoyed the video, please like, share and subscribe. Cooper's Commercial Match Angling, dobbing on the pole with bread in winter, absolutely deadly.